Okay, so when we go half of a circle, half of 360 degrees, we're at 180 degrees. If we're going just halfway around, 180 degrees, if we convert this into radians, we multiply that by pi over 180, is going to then equal to 180 pi over 180. And obviously you can see that we have a number 1 here, so we end up with just pi. So here we're trying to find the cosine, sine, tangent, secant, cosecant, and the cotangent of the coordinate point at this point on the unit circle. Now, what do we know about this point on the unit circle? Well, this point since the unit circle has a radius of 1, right? It goes 1 all the way around from the center here. It has a radius of 1. When we get to this point on the coordinate plane, this is the x line going to the left is negative. This coordinate is x is equal to negative 1, and y is not going up or down. Y is at the 0 position. Since y is not changing from this line, this is 0, this would be positive, this would be negative, the y point is 0. So we know the coordinate on the pi degree mark, right, 180 degree mark. And when we try to find the cosine, sine, and tangent, we just have to do all our manipulations like before. We know that the cosine is the x value, right? So the cosine at pi is equal to negative 1. We know that the sine is the y value, and the y did not go up or down. It stayed at 0. Y is at 0. Now we talk about the tangent. And we know that manipulating the 1s and the 0s somehow is going to lead us at some point, somewhere, with something that is undefined. So let's say we're looking for the tangent, and we know that the tangent is equivalent to the y over the x. And we do this enough, you'll start to just memorize that. And so we're going to put the tangent of the angle that is made at pi, the tangent of pi, sometimes they would write it like this, tangent of pi, and that is equal to the y value, which is 0, right? The y is 0 here, over the x, which is negative 1. Well, this is just equal to 0. A 0 in the numerator is okay. Dividing nothing by negative 1 is just, you have nothing. So our tangent here is 0. Now we're going to go to the reciprocal functions, right? How do these guys change? If we were to talk about the reciprocal of the cosine, the secant would be, well, the secant is, the cosine is negative 1. And if I was to do the reciprocal of negative 1, I could just say, let's say, I'm going to say the secant is equal to 1 over the x value, because it's the reciprocal, which is equal to 1 over the negative 1 value of x. It's just going to equal to negative 1. Now, they're both going to be the same. The reciprocal of the sine is the cosecant. We know that the sine is the y value, so we know that the cosecant is equivalent to 1 over the y value. So the cosecant here is 1 over the y value, which is 0. And so we have our first undefined. This is undefined. Right? We start to say, uh-oh, problem. So the cosecant is undefined. And our last one is our cotangent. Now the cotangent is the opposite of the tangent, right? The cotangent is the opposite of the x and y. The opposite, I want to say reciprocal is the better word. So it's going to be the x over the y value. And the cotangent is then at pi is going to be 0. Nope. The cotangent is going to equal to -1. That's the x coordinate over 0. And so we have our second undefined coordinate. And so we have, just by manipulating our point on the unit circle at pi, and when we did at pi over 2, now we're doing it at pi, we get all of our 6 trigonometric functions evaluated at that angle, for those degrees. Let's see how well you remember some of these.